Yeah, look, I mean, the decision that was made then didn't fall lightly on the players, especially the senior players. But it was almost a case of what has happened has happened. The decision that's been made is what was best for cricket, for South African cricket at the time. Yes, we felt that we may have compromised our chances of getting into the final. But I guess, yeah, the compromise, the surety, I guess, was the decision that was made was in the best interest of cricket in South Africa. Look, I mean, further to that, there have been positive, constructive engagement with Cricket South Africa, with the necessary decision makers, to ensure that we don't find ourselves in those positions. We can't be preaching and saying that Test cricket is the holy grail. We can't be trying to inspire the younger guys to pursue Test cricket when we are making decisions that seemingly are not putting Test cricket at where it was. So, look, hopefully we don't find ourselves in that situation again. I think, again, it speaks to testament to the character of the team, the journey. Basically, from after that New Zealand series, I think we pretty much won every series, winning seven matches in a row to actually get into the final. So I think that's a feather us as a team will wear on our in our cap. But yeah, administratively, we don't want to be in those type of positions.
It's been this debate has been going on for a long time. When India came there last year to the series at the Centurion and Cape Town. And do you think why is cricket South Africa not able to push for more than a Super Series? Doesn't make sense at all. There's been a lot of South Africans talking about indoor and hybrid Olympics. Have you had discussion with your board to get more than convince other people to get more than Test, at least a 3 series?
Look, I mean, like I said, from a player's point of view, we want to play as much cricket as we can. I think I remember that series I was watching from the sidelines. We won the first one in Centurion. India won the second one in Newlands. And I think at the end of the series, it was almost a case of we needed another game to see who was the better team for that time. And that's what the fans want to see. That's what the cricketing nations want to see, two top teams coming up against each other. So, look, I mean, as players, we are crying out to it. I guess from a structure point of view, which I'm not 100% clear on in terms of the negotiations with the rounds to the schedule and the games, I think we probably want to be a little bit more stronger as Cricket South Africa to push for a 3-match series against in India or in England or in Australia, whoever really is playing very good cricket at the time. But the sentiment from us, we'd like to play a lot more Test cricket.
How much do you think South Africa would be drawing from India's last year's loss to New Zealand at a couple of left-arm spinners were in operation on Ryan Kerala? Even though there is an idea that the current team under Shubman Gill may not opt for that kind of wickets and they are playing at home. But if you have to talk about what sort of lessons you are trying to draw from that series, and would you term India's loss in that an aberration, or do you say that there is still an opportunity for visiting teams to play in a certain style and dominate India and their back?
Look, I mean, touring India is never an easy one. So, I think looking at the way New Zealand went about their business, I think was inspiring in a lot of ways. A lot of touring teams, a lot of away teams come to India and haven't been successful, and that's the biggest of cricketing nations. I heard Kane Williamson, he's going to be here, so I'll definitely be asking him for tips on how they went about it. But look, I mean, that's going to be another big series for us as South Africa. The boys now, they'll be going to Pakistan, so they'll deal with that challenge. Instead, after that, it's India. And I think, like I said, for the guys who've been to India, we know how tough it is. But I think like any series, like any game, the opportunities are there, so we'll definitely, from an ambition point of view, want to be coming out on top. But we know that we'll need to play the best cricket. Obviously India now, Shubman Gill, he's taken over the reins within the Test stuff, and I think the ODI stuff. So I think it's exciting. He's a fantastic player. He's an exciting player, and it seems as if the new era has kicked in, if I could say. I think guys like Rohit, before him, Kohli, they've done their job. They've put India really on their mat, and they've made India a team to really be feared. So I don't think it take anything away from what they have done for Indian cricket. I think it's just the way the game goes. At some point, the sun stops shining on you, if I could say, and the younger guys, the ones that you've mentored, the ones that you have inspired, they take over the reins. So sure, India will continue to dominate. Our job as South Africa to not allow them to dominate as much, but I'm sure India will continue being one of the top teams in the world.
How are you holding up physically, first of all, and secondly, you start your defense with Pakistan and then India. We saw, like Sir was saying, we saw with the New Zealand series how the rank turners, there's this argument that it evens up the playing field for the spinners in the sense that maybe some overseas spinners who might not be as experienced in these conditions, they have almost equal chance. So do you see it that way? And how do you go about preparing for such conditions back home?
Okay, I'll start the first question. Physically, I'm well within my rehab. Calf is pain-free at the moment. The next week I start with running, so things are going well from that point of view. In terms of the surfaces in India, the spinner-friendly, look, I think we won't be in shock if we get to India. We're playing on spinner-friendly wickets. I think generally teams now are always using their conditions to their favour, especially with the World Test Championship, the cycle and the way that it's been set up. So we won't be surprised from that point of view. I think from my experience, there always seems to be a difference between the way Indian spinners bowl in their own conditions versus spinners outside of India. So I think there's always that challenge of foreign spinners adjusting to the conditions. They're either bowling quicker in these conditions, bowling flatter. So I think there is that challenge. I think from a batting point of view, and I guess with the help of the IPL and those type of leagues, it's given guys that experience and know of how to be successful in these type of conditions. I know it's T20 cricket, wickets are generally good, but the guys are a lot more familiar. The guys share information amongst them as to what they feel needs to be successful in these conditions. It'll be a different challenge, it's not something that we are instinctively in tune to back home in South Africa, but like I said, the knowledge is there. And whatever is put before us on the day, we will prepare accordingly and make sure that we are ready for whatever challenge that comes about. But yeah, I think that series, it's still a month away, but I think that will be an exciting one. New leadership for India. Myself, first time captaining in test cricket in India. So I think there's a lot of little sub-stories about it, and it can only make the game a lot more beautiful.
Temba, playing in India on Indian soil in Test cricket, and that without Kohli and Rohit, how it will be a challenge for Proteas in the next one?
If I look at India and the way they played in England, the guys, held their own. More than held their own. So I think the guys who've come in, firstly through Gilly's captaincy, their style of play, tactically, you can see they're doing it a little bit differently. But those guys they did well in England. And England is not an easy place to tour. Whether you're experienced, whether you're inexperienced or not. So I think the community, the Indian community, the cricketing community can take a lot of confidence from that. I understand the sentiment behind Rohit, behind Virat Kohli. We all understand that sentiment, but I think, the guys who are there currently now, the confidence, a guy like KL Rahul, the way that he stepped up at the top of the order, I think that should give a lot of people confidence as to what's to come in the near future.
Temba, South Africa turned the corner when they won the WTC title. You feel you've broken that mental barrier now, going ahead and you see South Africa being made titles across formats?
Yeah, look, the confidence is definitely strong and high amongst the group. I think for me, that's been a part of my legacy, I guess, as a captain, is to leave it in a good place, and is to leave it in a team that is winning ICC events. So, I mean, we've come close in the past. We've come close in the past. All that heartache, all that pain has only fueled us to really push to push a lot stronger. So, yeah, with this victory of ours, will give us a lot of confidence to push for ICC events. The guys next year, there's the T20 World Cup. The guys there will be going full throttle to do what we've just done again.
A couple of questions. Firstly, now that you won the WTC and now the new cycle, you have to host to Pakistan and India, and you host Australia and England. So, what are the challenges going to be in this new cycle? And secondly, Quinton de Kock has taken back his retirement in ODIs, but right now the South Africa batting lineup looks to be jam-packed with a lot of talent. You guys have had some great wins in Australia and England. So, what is his route back into the team? Is it an easy way back for him, or will he have to wait and do something?
Yeah, so in terms of the WTC, like you said, we start our defense with Pakistan in Pakistan. I saw Pakistan selected 5 spinners into their squad, so I mean that really shows you what type of conditions will the guys will be faced with there. Guys are back home now, busy with their preparation, so we'll leave no stone unturned. We've been to Pakistan before, the Champions Trophy. Yes, those were good. Those were good wickets. But we're familiar with the place. The challenge will be the challenge. After that will be India. There's Sri Lanka as well. So there's a lot more of the subcontinent tours that we're going to have to overcome that challenge. And then something a little bit more familiar back home with Australia and England. But then again, those are strong teams. So, I mean, I know in the previous cycle there was criticism around our route into the final, supposedly playing the weaker nations. That's not the case now. And I think for us as a player, we look at it with a lot of optimism that firstly as a competitor, as an international player, you can test yourself against the best players. And obviously from a team point of view, we keep going and achieving what we want to achieve. With regards to Quinton, look, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to Quinton. I grew up playing with Quinton from school cricket, so the fact that he's back again, I'm as excited as a lot of fans out there. I think, like you said, there's quite a lot of batters, young batters especially, who have put up their name. So, he's obviously going to have to do what he needs to do, from a run scoring point of view. I don't think he's oblivious to that. It's not the case that he's getting an easy pass into the team. But I think it's a case of, from where he's been in the abyss as per se, watching into the team. He wants to be a part of what has been created within the team. I chatted to him earlier this year in January, just before we're going to Champions Trophy, and there he started kind of throwing out the fact that he'd like to be available. Before he went and spoke to Shukri, he spoke to me. He made it clear that that's what he'd like to do, and we will support him. Quinton is one of the good guys within the system, super talented player. So, I mean, if it's Quinton who batted in that 2023 50 over World Cup, I don't think anyone would say no to that. But yeah, like I said, I'm a bit biased to it, but super happy that he's back and available.
Sure. Temba, a bit more on the personal side. You've always been a proponent for transcending boundaries in all sides of the game. You've also gone on record saying that you want to be remembered for the cricketer that you are and not for anything else. So even that aside, growing up in Lanka, where you had grown up, where you had, patches of roads that you had named after pitches, depending on how good or bad that they are, is what we have read. For growing up from there, getting a scholarship to play cricket, and then going on to lift the mace at the Lord's balcony, the iconic, which once used to be a very elitist place, perhaps still is. Do you sort of acknowledge that you might have triggered a sort of cultural shift as well? Do you sort of see yourself in that role? And an extension to that question also is that, since 2016, your test average has never dropped below 40, but you still had to answer a lot of questions until you had won the race. Is it fair to say that you had to answer more questions than perhaps anyone else would have been?
Yeah, I think I said it in my first answer. My journey, one that I'm grateful, but it hasn't been a simple or an easy one. I think I was quite ignorant to a lot of things when I first started playing international cricket, and only when I was really there did I start understanding the lens that you get seen as. I'm a Black African cricketer. I'm a batsman. Those things are foreign to a lot of people. We grew up being told that batting wasn't for Black African people, because for batting you have to think, and that's why you had a lot more as bowlers. So those things when you're young, you don't really understand them, but you hear them. So you always kind of battled against all of that, those type of narratives, those type of prejudices that unfortunately existed. They don't exist as much now.